Good evening, everyone. It is March fucking 13th. We're halfway through the month of March. I'm not sure how that happened, but we're halfway through March already. Um, this is going to be the Dani rant show tonight, because wow, what the fuck? We keep joking about the fact that we need new words. We need to. I need to come up with better words. I can't keep talking about how insane everything is and crazy, because the word gets used so often now that it's become meaningless. When we talk about, oh, everything's just gone insane today, it's become meaningless. It literally has. It has no meaning anymore because of the perception of 5 years ago versus this year versus today. So to start it all off, number one, if you're on Facebook, you know that Facebook has been down pretty much all over the world, up and down like a fucking yo-yo. So is Instagram. PayPal is having serious fucking issues. Hell, I had trouble with YouTube this morning. I've had friends reporting banking outages in Europe. I don't know what the States or Canada, but in Europe, various European banks going down, and not just like their online banking, but actually going down. Their whole system's going down. There you go. Yahoo email went down. Okay. There is mass fuckery afoot. And we'll talk about some of this fucking fuckery tonight. But technology is failing. And I keep saying that, and yet it just keeps failing more and more and more. People's computers, phones, tablets, cell phones, besides the technology that we see that runs these pieces, things like operating systems, things like websites that we regularly use, like Facebook and Instagram, etc. Technology is seriously failing. We've had massive amounts of electrical outages again this past week. And I've gotten reports from Europe, from the States, from Canada. Electricity's gone down, and there was no reason for it. There's no reason for it. Like they say, oh, because of the storm. And the storm is like, yeah, it's raining outside. And fuck, if rain outside is what causes electricity to fail, there's a serious freaking problem going on with the electrical grid if that's all it takes. In some cases, there's been high winds. In some cases, there's been lightning storms, etc. And yet, the electrical failures have been epic all over the world this week. Now, we have had ridiculous internet outages this past week as well. Now, I know today, all over the States, there were people who had no internet. Their internet was going down. We had here in Malta, oh my God, the internet has been so bad for the last 3 days that you literally want to pull your hair out. You're like, just load, damn you, when you're trying to get a page to look. We have planes falling out of the sky. We're going to talk about this tonight because there has been a lot of plane crashes. Now, there have been a lot of plane crashes since about 2011. Like, I went deep down the rabbit hole in 2015 and 16 on this, and you start looking, and there's been a massive uptick. And people, they try to brush it off as people like, well, there's more planes in the air. So statistically speaking, it hasn't gotten any worse. Well, that's bullshit. This Boeing 737 thing, okay, there's a lot more to this than just a software glitch, and I want to talk about this. Because there's multiple levels to this story with the Boeing 737. We know that they call it, oh, there's a glitch in the software for the autopilot. Right, because if there was really a glitch in the autopilot software, which is what they tried to claim when the 737 went down in the Swiss Alps in 2015, the week before CERN fucking started opening again, during Purim. But, I don't want to be anti-Semitic. We're just LARPing here. If that was a glitch, it would have been fixed. No one no major company like Boeing leaves a glitch that's going to cost them millions and millions in lawsuits, billions and billions in lawsuits. No one. So if there was a glitch in 2015, let's say it even happened just that once and really it was a glitch, which it wasn't, it would have been fixed, number one. Now, these systems are hackable. When you're talking about an autopilot system, when the plane went down, when the 737 went down in the Swiss Alps, I covered that story really, really closely. And there were many, many pilots and technical people who said, it is a hackable system. So therefore, when they tried to blame it on the pilot that he just drove it into the mountaintop, which he didn't, they watched on radar, they watched the plane just go boom into the mountains. Sounds like the same fucking thing happened with this Ethiopia crash. Now, we have suspicions. There was a whole pile of people from the United Nations on this Ethiopian airline. And the United Nations has made some very not so friendly statements recently about certain countries who shall remain nameless. Israel. Okay. Now they say there's a glitch with it. When you turn on the autopilot on that plane, it can't be turned off again. Pilots cannot get manual control back. Maybe there is. But again, if that's what happened, don't you think that glitch would have been fixed? We're talking billions and billions of dollars in industry. Boeing is in the top 10 of listed corporations in the United States for power, wealth, everything that they run. Now, since this 737 crash, they've lost 8% on the stock exchange. That's huge. 8% when you're talking about billions and billions of dollars worth of wealth is a massive amount of money. Now there's a little bit of a political angle I want to play here. Just a little bit of a political angle. And what I'm about to say is not geared to the American people, ever. You know that. I love all my American friends. It's America the corporation. The America the corporation that rules this world. America has not made any friends globally in the last few years. America, the government, the corporation, has backed itself into a corner. It's ostracized Canada and Mexico, which surrounds its north and south. It's ostracized Europe, England, Russia, China, South America, and many areas, and we'll talk about Venezuela in a minute, Indonesia. As soon as the 737 thing happened, all those countries went, yeah, no more 737s are allowed in our sky. Sorry, we've just banned them across our entire country. And Boeing and the American government tried to go, you can't do that. You can't do that. And they all went, yeah, we can. It's our sovereign airspace. And if we don't want your little fucking 737 exploding machines in our airspace, we're going to tell you to fuck off. And they did. Across the world. It's a major corporate hit. Nick and I had a conversation earlier, and I think that Nick is dead on the money when he said, you know what? All these countries, they're sick and tired of playing this fucking American game. And you may not be able to come out and say things. You may not be able to get rid of their petrodollars, and you may not be able to get rid of their fucking federal courts and all the rest of it. But we can play the game on the other ways, i.e. doing things like, well, fuck Boeing, arms dealers, nastiness. We're just going to stop letting their planes fly in our airspace. We have a perfect excuse. Yeah, no, not going to happen. And it's a massive hit. And the States is pissed. Now, the whole thing is like when you talk about, for example, Europe. And in the States, we have this anti-Russian rhetoric that we all know is fucking bullshit. Anyone with a half a brain cell knows that the whole Russia collusion in the election, etc., is complete and utter bullshit, lies, and fraud. Never fucking happened. And yet the sanctions are being pushed and Europe's being forced to follow them. Well, Europe likes Russia. Europe gets along real well with Russia because you know what? It's their moneymaker. Trade with Russia in Europe is very, very important. So when all of a sudden the American government says, no, you can't have trade with Russia anymore, what do you think the European governments are doing? They're like, excuse me? How can you tell us what we can't do? Like, we need fucking natural gas and oil from Russia. They need it. It's not even a question. Trade, etc. When we have these things going on, there is a huge level that's rising all over the planet that is very, very anti-American corporation government. Very, very huge. Now, it's always existed to a certain level, but it's to the point now where people are really, really waking up and saying, whoa, wait a second. And the news has been full of complete, blatant, in-your-face transparency. Just recently, in India, there was a group of Indian farmers suing a multinational corporation that is not American. And the American federal courts were the ones who made the ruling on it and said, you to the international company, you've got to pay these farmers. Well, wait a second. Where is the law? Where does it state that an American federal court has jurisdiction over Indian farmers suing a multinational company that's not listed in America? Now that's job one. These are multiple. These lawsuits keep coming up and coming up and coming up over and over again. And I keep asking this question. Why is no one asking why it is that there's a U.S. American federal court fucking making rulings on this shit? Now we have the situation in Venezuela. And I did the special report out in, oh God, when was all that blowing up? January, I guess? And I made the statement that the reason why it is so important right now for us to watch what's playing out in Venezuela is because back in 2010, back in 2011, when we had Arab Spring and we had the invasion of Libya and and Gaddafi being murdered, etc., a good portion of the people who are awake now didn't comprehend it then. They were not at that level to really comprehend what was taking place. And all that they know about it now is hindsight. We can look back. Myself, I was not in that political realms at those times where I comprehended what was going on with Libya, what was going on with Arab Spring, not even remotely. It's in hindsight and looking back that I'm able to go, oh, look, oh, that happened and that and that and that. But right now, there's an exact repeat happening with Venezuela. And right now, we're all fucking awake. And we know, we've done all our research of Syria and Iraq and Libya and Afghanistan and the Sudan and all of these places. So we are prepared, if you will, to already see what's coming and to be able to call out the bullshit and know what bullshit to look for when it happens. And everything about Venezuela has been so incredibly transparent. From Bolton literally coming out and saying on international news, we are going after Venezuela's oil. Now, for the more programmed, brainwashed people who don't comprehend that, that is a major wake-up call. Now, as I've said, though, it's not about the oil. The oil is like the little extra bonus you get off at the side, right? It's, oh, we're going to go take over Venezuela, and as an added party gift, we'll have their oil. This is about the petrodollar. This is about their cryptocurrency, which is fully asset-backed with gold and oil and precious metals. This is about their dealings with Russia and Iran and China and everything else. And we've known this with Venezuela was coming. I've been telling everyone for 4 years, Venezuela is going to happen. It's not if, it's when. We're seeing it play out in real time. Now, I don't know if the fucktards in power have all of a sudden had this sudden, like, come to church moment where all of a sudden they go, oh shit, they're not buying our bullshit this time. We can't tell them the same lies that we told about Libya and Iraq and Afghanistan and the Sudan and in Syria. We can't tell them because they've already sussed it out. So now in the last, week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, the distractions, like massive fucking distractions. Venezuela has been without electricity for 4 days now. Just so happened the entire country got blacked out. And they tried to blame it on Maduro, which is so ridiculous. This is not even, and any logical thinking person with a brain cell can go, well, that doesn't make any sense. And Maduro has been going out and saying, it's the U.S. The U.S. has come in and they've sabotaged us, whether they used EMPs, whatever it was that they used. Every time they got it pulled back up, the system going back up again, boom, it would get slammed down again. This is all happening. There is so much going on right now. And there's so much going on across the board. And I mean, literally, as I said before we were going live, we were talking, I said, it doesn't matter what aspect you pick. It doesn't matter if you want to talk about politics or finance or central banking, or if you want to talk about healthcare, education, religion, if any topic you can come up with. Right now, it is just flooding out with abject fuckery that is completely fucking insane. Religion. There's so many court cases now against the Vatican and against Catholic priests. Oh, and not just Catholic priests. That's been the new big thing now. Now it's like all kinds of pastors, all kinds from all different kinds of religions are getting nailed about the pedophilia. Pell in Australia has just been charged. He's going to jail for 6 years. Now, I was shocked. I honestly never thought that they would get him to the point of actually going to jail, but apparently, yes, he's going to jail. Education. Look at this new college education thing, this scandal that's going around. I don't even fucking comprehend it. Parents paying off universities to give their children's good marks and all this kind of shit. And they've turned it into this huge circus. Like a huge, it's a distraction. Everyone look over here. Oh, we're charging this person. We're going to charge out that person with it. This has been going on, not just in the States, but around the world for fucking decades. We all know this whole thing of parents paying for good marks for their kids and all this bribery and blackmail stuff. We all know it always has happened. This isn't a new thing. But it's a really good distraction to get everyone going, oh my goodness, this is happening in my daughter's college. Mandatory vaccines in the US. Mandatory vaccines. I'm strongly beginning to think that the push right now, because it came out of the blue, right? The way the whole thing built up to this mandatory vaccine was over a couple of cases of the measles. We're not talking about even children dying of the measles. We're talking about some children got the measles in a few states, and they've used it as a platform to push this mandatory vaccine on a federal level now, because it's been statewide, all these meetings in various states, for the last month. Now they're trying to push it on a federal level. And I think it's a distraction. I think it's a distraction.
Hey, Dani?
Yeah?
I'm just wondering about that a little bit because, you know, I've had to go to the doctor a little bit lately, and, you know, in the last 6 months, and every time they try to vaccinate me with something. So
Yep.
I'm wondering if this is a precursor to what's going to happen to adults too, because, you know, and you know me, I'm going to tell them they can blow me. I'll walk out. I will not do it.
Okay. Well, you need to. Well, let me finish what I'm talking about with this, and then we're going to talk about why vaccines on the financial side. Okay. If there is one topic, because you have whole groups of people who are pretty with it, who are pretty awake, and maybe they're not on all on the same level, but they're various levels. And you have Republican people who are awake, and you have Democrats who are awake, and you have fucking conservatives and liberals and socialists, and you pick groups. And throughout all of those groups, you have people who are really, really on, they know what's going on. Now, if you get them involved in the political haggling, i.e. your QAnon fucking Democratic fucking bullshit in the States, you can keep them divided, right? What is one of the few things that you will get every fucking awoke person to fucking fight for? Mandatory vaccines. That is like, you get every person who's even marginally awake who comprehends that is immediately going to go, what? I don't fucking think so. And they all go like this. No matter what they're researching, no matter what rabbit hole they're down, they've all done this. Oh, mandatory vaccines. And that's all that's being discussed right now. That's all that's being discussed. People who 4 or 5 weeks ago were talking yellow vest movement in France, and who were talking about the political fraud, who were bringing down all kinds of shit here and there, who were really digging deep. Boom. Now everyone's only talking about vaccines. And when I look at how that rolled in, just a couple of measles cases? Seriously? But they managed to really blow it up into this big circus. Now, financially, I covered this really, really closely in 2013. Vaccines is one of the few ways they have of making money right now. And when I say they, I'm talking not just the pharmaceutical companies, I'm talking central banks, corporate banks. It's one of the few ways they have of making money. When they bring out a vaccine, they take those vaccines and they're placed. I'm not going to say they're placed on the stock market. It's not how it works. It's very, very quietly placed. And they generate the money from it, and then that money is leveraged. And they create a whole pile of money out of this money that's created with vaccines, and the sale of the vaccines, and the patents on the vaccines, which enables them to keep running their system. Now, the one thing we know is their system is fucking dry. They're not even running on fumes anymore. They ran out of fumes last year. The financial system is fucking empty. And what I see with the vaccine stuff right now is complete and utter panic mode. Panic mode, as in we need to sell as many vaccines as we can because we need the money coming in. Hence the fact that they tried to start another Ebola outbreak again. Because the Ebola vaccine has been fucking leveraged like you have no idea after the 2014 outbreak. Right now, there is so much going on in the world at such levels of insanity, of fuckery, that I honestly think they're doing anything they can to keep the population distracted. Okay, the other aspect, we've got planes crashing. Now, not just the two big ones that happened in the last couple of weeks. How many fucking small planes just crashed in the US, Dawn, this week? I think there were six.
we had two go down here, and both of them lost altitude fast, and they were pushed down, like they went into a nosedive. We're talking a big cargo plane by Amazon and another smaller plane, all within like a week.
There were so many small plane crashes this week in the Caribbean, in Europe, in America, etc. What's the one thing I've been talking about? Nonstop, what seems like fucking for months. Geomagnetics. All these planes are run on GPSs. They are extremely magnetically sensitive and electrically sensitive. Their instrumentation is extremely sensitive to any of these kinds of energies, whether you're talking electrics, magnetics, etc. Now we're watching the magnetics all over the place. And we have planes falling out of the sky. We have another bunch of articles coming out recently about, oh, look, Australia's moving so fast, the continent of Australia, that the GPS has to be updated again because the GPS isn't correct. Well, they just did that 2 years ago in Australia, and now they have to do it again. Magnetic north, same thing. Well, I covered all of that shit during January and February. When magnetic north is moving so fast, we've had to now update all of our fucking systems. We have had a ridiculous amount of lightning storms on the planet in the last 2-3 weeks. And I'm talking lightning storms where, for example, in California, they had 1,500 strikes. They had 1,500 strikes in 5 minutes. In one place. Now, I don't know if you saw the videos. These were fucking impressive. It was insane. Now, those lightning storms have been all over Europe. Those lightning storms have been windstorms. Okay, we talked a few weeks ago about the fucking jet stream above America reaching 800 kilometers an hour in speed. This is happening all over the world. Now, if you're in a small plane and all of a sudden a jet stream does this, it's going to take your little plane and just throw it to the ground. How many crashed planes? How many ships washing up on shore? I mean, literally driving into shorelines, which we've had multiple of over the last couple of years. Like their GPS, either the pilot of the ship was either completely fucking drunk or they just fucking randomly just, drove into shit that was not supposed to be there. How many of these lightning storms does there have to be? How many flash floods does there have to be before everyone on the planet starts going, what the fuck is going on? Massive blizzards, flash floods. Again, the last week, there have been so many flash floods. Thousands and thousands of people have been killed in the last week in floods alone. Pakistan, Afghanistan, Brazil, Sao Paulo, Brazil, massive mudslide and floods there yesterday and the day before. The one in California. These are just the really, really big ones. Here in Malta, you saw the news when I posted all the news about that massive storm of the century that we had 2 weeks ago. Yesterday, again, we had winds that were 85 kilometers an hour. Just, you couldn't even leave the house. We have low tide here. Still, we're now on week 5. The tides haven't even come back. We have 1.5 foot of water missing from the Med on my side of the island. When people start looking at this shit, people are going to start asking, people already are asking questions. Now, the big distraction within the truther movement, between all the awake and aware people, and the trolls and the shills are pushing it real fucking hard, and alternative media is really trying to push it hard. Oh, it's weather manipulation. it's chemtrails and HARP. It is not fucking chemtrails and HARP. Let me tell you, chemtrails and HARP can't do the shit that we're seeing on the planet right now. As I said, and I have said for years, the bad boys who run chemtrails and HARP and all this weather manipulation shit, they only wish they could do the shit that is happening naturally on the planet right now. That's a big ass fucking distraction, because you can have a whole bunch of people yelling, chemtrails, chemtrails, HARP, HARP, weather manipulation, do weapons, oh, there's do weapons. No, there's not.
Hey, Dani.
Yeah, darling.
These people that are screaming chemtrails, ask them, well, the chemtrails aren't even able to stay in the sky because of the crazy wind speeds and everything. So, can't be chemtrails. Well, what about HARP? Okay.
Well, you know what? This is the thing. I mean, there's certain things that chemtrails can do. Like, they're particles. You can actually charge particles. You could technically load up the sky and you could charge those particles and you can make reactions happen. Positive and negative ions create really bizarre weather patterns. It doesn't happen all over the world. It doesn't happen all over the world at once. And it doesn't happen the way we're seeing play out this year. Doesn't work that way.
Well, has anybody noticed the different atmospheres we have now? We don't have one. So you can't even chemtrail or HARP because there's these layers. I took pictures when I was in a plane going to DC. 3 different layers now, guys, over Kansas right now. The lower atmosphere is just zooming. I mean, zooming. And the third atmosphere up is standing still. So, I mean, this isn't manipulation. This is like crazy.
Yeah, 800 kilometer an hour jet streams. That's not possible. It's not possible for a weapon or a weaponization to cause that much air to move across an entire continent. People don't comprehend the amount of power that is necessary to move air. This is a major thing. This is not a little thing.
Can we add in all the fog? The weird fucking fog everywhere. Fog. And the plane crashed. It was foggy. It was very low atmosphere.
Yep.
And it was foggy. And then I also want to add in that when I was telling you the other night about seeing stuff in the air, you know, with that badass flashlight.
Yep.
This shit was sparkling, y'all.
Yeah.
Like sparkles.
Yeah. Listen, the insanity is epic at the moment. When we talk about like meteorological, like just weather. So like I said, we had the fog roll in out of the blue on Saturday. Like there was no call for it. It was not like, you know, the weather guy says, well, we're going to see this high air pressure and low and they'll be cold and so we could get some fog in the morning. No, it didn't even come in the morning. It showed up like a wall that hit the island at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it literally came in like a fucking wall. People were literally like, what the fuck is that? It was dry. It was dry. It wasn't like, I've been in British fog, as I joked about that the other day. I've been in British fog, where you literally go walking for 15 minutes, you come home, you're soaked. Like, you're soaked. Your hair is wet. You got to change your clothes. It was a dry fog. Okay? We have had this island that I live on. And keeping in mind that I've lived on this island multiple times over the last 35 years. Multiple times. It's an island in the Mediterranean. Yes, it's windy, and yes, it's wet. It's damp. The thing that gets you in winter here isn't the cold, it is the damp. And I have had houses where the water in the winter runs down the walls. It's that damp here. Like the humidity levels in winter are insane. People have mold growing on their walls, indoors and outdoors. It's that damp. It has been so dry this year, my lips have been cracking. Everyone is complaining, my lips are just cracking. It's that dry. You wake up in the morning and you can feel your mouth has had every bit of moisture sucked out of it. Never, ever, ever here. Never, never, never have we ever had weather like that here. This is crazy shit. And again, this is what I'm saying. The distractions right now are so epic, so in your face. Whether it's like, let's push all the Hollywood shit, let's make all these Hollywood fucking, who's doing what to who and who's sleeping with who and who's a pedophile and who's this. In the financial, the amount of epic bullshit that is coming out financially right now is crazy. In the medical shit, in the education shit, like it does not matter. Yeah, Maury, go ahead.
I know where you're going on this, Danny. It's for sure you're painting a picture. I'm looking at it. The first thing you say with the weather, well, is it man-made? That's your chemtrails and all that jazzola. But you're throwing in all these other things going on too, which says, well, it's not. There's more going on than just. Even if it was the chemtrails, that ain't causing a banking crisis and all this other crap you're talking about. And you can't really say that it's some kind of energy coming from the central sun of the whole galaxy, the Milky Way, to cause all of this craziness. But maybe it is. But you got to at least expand out of man-made. So what's left? You got the galaxy, or you got something bigger than that that's causing it all.
Yep.
And you've got to start looking in those directions to find. If you're looking for an answer, you got to get out and say, well, it's because of George Soros and people like him, and recognize that there's more going on. So, okay, so it isn't man. We're doing it as men amongst ourselves to a degree, but the source of this weirdness is bigger than just this Earth. Now, does it only go as far as the solar system, maybe out in Jupiter or something? Or does it go to the galaxy with the central sun? Or does it go beyond that? And you got to at least start investigating those other alternatives in a serious way, as opposed to just blowing them off as woo-woo talk, which I know you don't, but the mainstream will.
We have to ask the question.
The ones at the top know what's going on. Because the ones at the top know what's going on.
You hope so.
They do. But see, now, if you get into this, you find like the Vatican has been told to stand down. These beings, and they're not. And they're not communicating that down because they're in a fight for their lives.
Yep.
So I think there's a big discrepancy on that side playing out that we're watching. That makes a lot more sense to me.
There is a lot of pieces. And trying to bring them all to the table, which is why I started building that list you remember last month. Like just trying to build a list of all these pieces to throw onto the table. Because they're all interrelated. And this is exactly it. On a level, are we looking at a battle between those who are not from this planet or this realm or whatever we want to call it, trying to control everything, trying to stop certain things from happening? Most likely. I'm not going to take it off the table. We don't have the answers, but you know what? Logic tells me it's got to be that way. But there are so many pieces. And my whole thing is at this point, like I said, I have to pull back, stop searching for the absolute minutiae answers, the who, what, where, why, when, how, and look at the broad spectrum. Because we're in the now. We're in this now, right now. We can only deal with what we are facing in this moment, each and every one of us. Whether it's financial, whether it's medical, whether it's geological, whether it's like, do you know what I'm saying? And I think the powers that be, the powers that were, the powers who are just jerk asses, I think they're fucking terrified at the moment. Because if you start getting everyone start to ask these questions that we're asking, looking and saying to people, this is not normal, our weather is not normal, our earth moving and shifting is not normal, our magnetics are not normal, these lightning storms are not normal, people dying, people's pets dying, all of this shit is not fucking normal. The last thing they want is people to start, and that's why I honestly think that a good portion of the stuff that is capturing the attention of the alt media is a distraction. Because you think about it, the one thing the alt media does not want to talk about is what's going on, really what's going on. They want to talk about chemtrails, and they want to talk about mandatory vaccines, and they want to talk about red versus blue and left versus right, and they want to talk about this side versus that side, and they want to talk about this controversy over that, and who's a pedophile and who's a cannibal. I don't fucking know. But they don't want to talk about what's going on. Yeah, Andrea, 12 people died in the last 2 weeks at your dad's nursing home. You're not the first person to tell me that. I have a friend in England, went to go visit her dad, and was told by the nurses that they'd had something like 6 people pass away in a matter of 3 days. It was insane. And she was panicking, like saying to them, is there a chance that is it an infection? Like, should I get my dad out of here? And they're like, no, they just passed. Now, on that side note, we're in 0 KP again today. And we have been since 12 noon UTC. And I checked just before we went live, and we're still in 0 KP.
Hey, go ahead and tell everybody to take magnesium phosphate when we get into 0 KP because it affects your heart. It affects your freaking heart.
Magnesium is a really, really good one. It's a really important one that people should be looking at. Yep. Earl, did you want to chime in here?
We are seeing the system on multiple levels coming down. We've been knowing it would happen for a long time. We've been believing this.
Yep.
Now, could be the aliens, could be the bad guys or good guys. I don't know. But all I know is they're scared. They can't control the system. Is Trump a good guy or a bad guy? I don't really know. But many are scared of him in some ways, you know, and
so they should be, in my opinion.
And so they should be. Right. Like, I'm surprised I'm seeing people getting arrested. I never thought we'd get arrested. Like Lori Loughlin, she got arrested. Like, she's one of those people I never thought would get arrested.
Yeah.
Ever.
But these are low people in the totem pole. Do you know what I mean? They're throwaways. They're patsies. They're just.
But like, it's going to keep going up.
And it could. It absolutely could. But here's the thing, Earl, and I'll get into this because this goes into all that QAnon fucking bullshit. Because the QAnon stuff is fucking bullshit. Okay? All we're told is wait and see, wait and see, wait and see. Oh, yeah, there's going to be a mass arrest. There's all these arrests. And you see people get arrested for, you know, some university fucking scam that has been going on for fucking centuries. Let's face it. It was really in your face during the 1800s, let me tell you. That's how you got your kid into university. Now they're just doing it more quietly. Okay? These things, looking at the bigger picture, war in Venezuela. And I'm sorry, a certain person who I did have a certain amount of respect for, made a post on Facebook last week saying something along the lines of like, oh, you know, wasn't really a Trump supporter and da 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 da. But you know, at least there's been no wars since Trump's been in power. I'm like, are you fucked in the head? Are you fucking insane? Are you blind, deaf, dumb, and retarded too? What do you call what's going on in Israel and Palestine right now? That is fully being supported by the US. What do you call Syria? Oh, well, that's just a continuation. It was like, Venezuela's not. Venezuela's a brand new fucking war that they're starting right here, right fucking now. What do you talk about the shit with Iran? What do you talk about the shit with Russia and China? This is all fucking brand new. So next time someone wants to tell me QAnon stuff and how Trump is the savior, then you tell me how it is that Trump is saving everyone by going to war with half the world. And going to war against the people who, let's face it, he shouldn't be going to war with, because it's pretty fucking transparent why he's going to war with Venezuela. They have what he wants, which is the same reason why the US always goes to war against a country. It's never changed. It's the exact same template. They're not using the US petrodollar anymore. They now have a fully asset-backed cryptocurrency. They're selling their oil on the open market to whoever wants in their own cryptocurrency. That is why the US is going to war with Venezuela. It has nothing to do with Maduro and socialism, because Americans don't comprehend socialism anyway, because they've had generation upon generation of brainwashing on what socialism is, which it isn't. We're seeing all this shit play out. Yeah,
the U.S. for me, I always felt they were somewhat not knowing that they're socialists, but they don't know it. In a way, that's how.
They're not even remotely. They're not even remotely. I mean, they are slightly. They got highways. They've got roads that are paved. They have an education system. Hi, American. That's socialism. By your own fucking description of words, that's socialism. But they don't comprehend socialism because they've made socialism into a dirty word. And that's fine. Whatever. This is an argument I've been having with my American friends for fucking 20 years. It's hysterical.
I mean, we are seeing, like, about the weather, like, we're getting, like, 100 mile per hour winds. Like, I've noticed, like, we've had, like, 90, 100 mile per hour winds where I'm at several times already, and that's not normal.
Nope.
We get low-level winds, you know, ground wind.
Yep.
Yep. You know?
It's happening all over the world. This isn't just here. I mean, literally, I was talking to Sarah, who's out on the west coast of Ireland, and they have just been hammered all winter. Like, I feel so bad for them living out there. I'm like, chick, you got to move to the east coast. At least you'll have a little bit of protection, because the west coast of Ireland is just, it's been nothing but high winds, storms, waves. They have 23-foot tall waves coming in right now on the west coast of Ireland.
Surf's up, dude.
You wouldn't want to surf that water, dude, unless you're wearing a dry suit.
So don't you think that this is a reaction to a compressed atmosphere? Just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just like that, I forget where it was. I think it was in Russia, where they had that storm and it just freaking took all the trees down. Remember? It was like
Tunguska? Are you talking about Tunguska?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was a more recent one that just happened, and this is what I'm talking about. So everything would be more intense all the way around.
All the way around. No.
All the way around.
In 2004, 2003, we lost a pile of our atmosphere. It got stripped off the planet. You know, we're only finding out. We only started to find out about this in 2014, 15. Like, it literally is not something they let people know. Do we really understand why? Do we really understand what happened? No, we really don't. But the atmosphere is fully charged. Our atmosphere is incredibly charged, which is what we're having all these lightning strikes, which is why we're having as far power outages everywhere. Why people are getting shocks from touching their door handle, and why people are getting shocked, and why they're blowing light bulbs. I fucking blew another light bulb just yesterday. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm going to start investing in light bulb companies. If you want to make money on your returns, invest in light bulb companies, because apparently it's the one thing everyone's buying in bulk right now is fucking light bulbs.
Hey, with that halogens for the outdoor, mine aren't, they're supposed to be working for years. Mine, I'm lucky if I get 3 months.
Yep. I know. The one bulb that's up there right now is one of those high energy saver ones. I'm going through those every 2 months. They're supposed to last for at least 2 years. I'm going through them every 2 months. We're seeing all kinds of shit. Now, I'll tell you another thing. And I've now asked, I put a word out to my C60 guys, who I buy my C60 fullerenes from. I know there's something going on magnetically on the planet because I'm seeing it in my stirrers. I use magnetic stirrers. They're not stirring properly. Or they're not that they're not stirring properly. They're not stirring the way they were stirring 6 months ago. And that's across the board, all my stirrers. And I have to watch them. Where it used to be I could put them on and go and check on them once a day, I now have to go check my stirrers 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day just to make sure that they haven't bumped off. Just to make sure, but I can tell it's changed. I'm cranking up my output and it's not registering in the stirrers. Now, that's a very simple example of something that is magnetic that I have to deal with on a daily basis. This all started in January. It was January when I started having seeing the differences in the stirrers. So wait a second, what's going on all of a sudden? And we have to start asking the questions. If we're looking at things like something as simple as that, as a piece of lab equipment, they're used all over the world. Every fucking lab in the world uses magnetic stirrers. Can we find out from other people? Are they noticing changes? Are they noticing it's not quite working at the same RPMs? I don't know. This is it. There's a lot of shit going on. And yeah, Brianna, you had the perfect thing. You said socialism is actually practiced in the US, but only for corporations. They get the protections, the benefits, the subsidies, the tax breaks, they get the bailouts, all of that. That's socialism, if you really want to look at it. By the American, dichotomy of socialism, if you will. Who was that, Megan? I'm trying to back up. That's when Pluto-Saturn conjunction cycle energy was triggered. When? January, right? Right. So yeah, so that was that Pluto-Saturn. And speaking of Pluto-Saturn conjunctions and all this, I've been talking astrology with the lovely ladies quite a bit today. We are trying to arrange the next astrology show. It may be this Sunday. It might be. It's going to depend on Amina and what her schedule is really insane right now. So I'm not exactly certain. Oh, okay. So Joanna in Twitch, out there on Twitch, just asked, just curious about the announcement that the moon is in the Earth's atmosphere. That is really fucking interesting. And I hypothesized at the time. One of the big questions that just keeps coming up with anyone who is, hates NASA, as I do, is, of course, well, how did they go land on the moon? How did they get out of the Van Allen belt to get to the moon? Because we're told there's like Earth, there's the Van Allen belt, and the moon is over here. But what if when they're saying things like the moon is within the Earth's atmosphere, What if what they're actually saying without saying it is the Van Allen belt encircles the moon as well, and that the Van Allen belt is within that atmosphere of Earth? There's a lot of questions that one. There's a lot of questions that I had when that came up, because it was like, this speaks to me that they're saying a lot. They're not saying much about something that's obviously really, really major, and they're not saying much about it. And there's going to, I think, a lot more to do with that. And I'm keeping my eyes peeled. I'm keeping my eyes peeled, just trying to see what else is going to come out on that stuff. I'm telling you, I have lots of questions. I have tons of questions. I did have the Twitch chat open and it fucking closed on me. Hold on. There it is.
Danny, I put the answer to your question about you and your light bulbs and all that other stuff that goes on around you. I put it in the chat with a link to the picture of that said person. It's not too far up the chat.
Hold on, Maury. I'm afraid to open this with the way my computer. Very funny. Very, very fun. Okay, now I've lost Zoom. Where's Zoom? There's Zoom. Okay, I found Zoom.
You're welcome.
Smart ass, that's what you are. But you're a cute smart ass and I love you, so I guess I'll put up with you for a while longer. I'm making sure I've got everything that I can see. Yep.
Last night, the night before, I was in the kitchen eating dinner, and I was sitting there looking at the garage, and I'm like, something happened. Because the garage feels more closer to me now when I look at it out the back of, the door of our house, and I'm like, man, that just looks weird. It looks weird to me now.
Oh, dude, listen, I'm convinced I'm not even in the same universe I was in the last week. Seriously. If we want to get into the deep woo and talk about that kind of stuff, like the Mandela effect shit, on the personal level, do you know what I mean? On that, I don't fucking care about movies. I don't really care about fucking logos, and I really, but on a personal level, the stuff that I'm seeing, like you say, things moving, things changing, things. Pardon me.
I'm already in a crazy movie. It's called My Life.
Yeah, that's exactly what I feel like. And I actually said that to a girlfriend of mine today. I was like, no, yesterday. I said, my life is a crazy fucking movie. It's like that Truman Show fucking shit. I swear to God, every day I begin to think that I'm in some kind of, and it's like the Truman Show, but it's crossed with that. What was that TV show where they used to hide? Candid Camera, and they used to hide and they would do pranks on people. That's my life. It's like Candid Camera meets the Truman Show.
Danny, listen, what you do with that, it's going on around you for sure in crazier and crazier ways. No doubt about that, just like you're commenting and pointing out. But what do you do with it?
Yeah.
Walking around down here, you would be well served to start laughing at it as opposed to taking it deathly serious and being
exactly what I do.
Interior. There's other things you can do, but that is one good beginning. Start laughing at the absurdity of it all.
It's
remember what I
do.
See it in a humorous fashion. And it's
remember what I said, Marie? Remember what I said yesterday in the car? I was like, talking to my higher self, I'm like, you better have a damn good reason for putting me down here in this freak show, man. I'm gonna tell you right now.
They do, but we ain't smart enough to figure it out. That's the problem.
I'm just saying, I'm stating it. Like, this is how I feel. This is a freak show. It is getting bad. So
it's like a fucking freak show. Exactly.
The freak show.
The people around me, the people that you watch every day. And it's like, we joked just back in I think it was early January. And we made a couple of comments during the show about talking about really bad drivers. And we talked about magnetic fields, and we thought, oh, there's a geomagnetic storm, so, watch out for the crazy drivers. And we all went out and went, holy shit, drivers were really bad. They haven't gotten any better. Like every day, I'm witnessing shit on the streets, people walking. I watched a woman with a baby in a pushchair just walk out into traffic. And you just went, she didn't even look. This is on a busy street, one of the busiest, like, she wasn't on a crosswalk. She literally just blindly, just walked right into traffic with the baby in a pushchair. I was like, what the fuck?
You saw where I posted about the lady that forgot her freaking baby in the lobby of the airport.
Okay, but Amina went back and explained that is bullshit spun out by the fucking media. The media took it and turned it into a fucking circus. That's not how it played out. Her whole family was split up, and she was helping her mother on the plane. All her kids were with the rest of the family, and she was trying to make sure they all got on the plane, and she's walking up and down the aisles with the stewardess trying to count all of it, and realized that half her family was missing. They hadn't taken off. All they had done was gone like this out of the terminal, and they went, okay, wait, because she caused such a ruckus saying, where's the rest of my family? So, again, it's one of those perfect stories. The media comes out, woman leaves baby in the airport and they had to bring the plane back. No, that's not what happened. Not even slightly. So, again, we're lucky that we had boots on the ground to actually get us the real story to say, that's not how it fucking played out. But at the same time, you've seen people do things, and I've done things myself. Literally crazy ass fucking shit. Because you just have blank out moments. And you just have these blank out moments where you just, all of a sudden, you don't know what you were in the middle of doing. I almost reached down today. I was cooking dog food, again, because that's all I ever do. I was cooking dog food, and the spoon that I was stirring with, I was using a smaller spoon, slipped into the dog food. And as it was sinking, I literally almost put my hand in to pull the spoon out. It was boiling. But I literally caught myself, like literally my hand, without even thinking, was like, oh, I'll just grab that. Whoa, what the fuck are you doing? I'm going to tell you the story.
Marlena did that. She did that with, she had boiling water, and she didn't know it. She put her hand in, she pulled it out. She wasn't even freaking burned or nothing. Like, she didn't even feel it. Like, it was like.
Listen, Nick today, I'm going to torture him about this. I'm going to tell everyone this just right on the air because it was so fucking funny. Watching him do one of those moments where you watch someone do something and you're like, you can't even stop them. He's got a pile of stuff in his arms. He's got a big ass glass of juice and he's kind of tucked it in his arm here. And me and Quinlan are sitting here talking, and he literally bent over to pick up something on the floor and poured the juice out all over the floor. And it was, you can't, but those are the moments everyone's having right now. Like, where your brain just kind of turns off for a split second. And next thing you know, you've stuck your hand in a pot of boiling dog food, or you've spilt stuff, or you've dropped shit, or you.
Yeah. You know, I was just having a conversation with one of my patients last night about this. They were asking me, does this affect the memory? Because they were feeling it, and they said, well, and I kind of went over what we've talked about. So everybody's kind of like thinking it's them, or they're passing it off.
But when you get together, then you get together with groups, and you sit there and go like, oh my God, it's not just me, it's everybody. Everybody has lost the plot. Yeah, the Schumann, Doppy just brought up the Schumann, right? It did something weird again today, where there's a fucking curve in the lines. Not to the extent that we saw last week that was just ridiculous, but there's a fucking curve in the lines again. How the fuck does that happen? Like, there's no explanation. No one can come up with any fucking rational explanation for it. You can't. Someone just get rid of the Yee guy in fucking the live stream chat. He's just a moron. Yeah, that's why I just love it when we get fucking trolls in here who are just fucking stupid.
There's something else, Danny. They have a story for every level. You know that too.
Yep.
What will sell to the great unwashed is one story, usually portrayed on the mainstream media.
I love
For the more informed,
Maury.
they gotta,
I love that you use that term. I think you are the only person I know who can actually get away with using that term. It's awesome.
You're welcome. It's how my mind goes. Kind of like your charts you were showing last week with the negative, the polar opposite, the north and southern polar crap going crazy. Anyway, no, seriously, the level. I'll use that phrase again because it covers a big spectrum. The great unwashed, the people that don't question, they just take the surface. Then they got a different answer for the different levels going up the chain, none of which are true. They're true to a degree, but they're not the whole story. And it becomes refined. Well, that's your damn pyramid again.
Yep.
Or the hierarchy, which is the way they do everything.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So we're able to penetrate 2 or 3 levels, or maybe 5 or 6 up, and God knows how many levels are above us before we get to the real truth from anybody. And we're not likely to get it unless we're insiders in that field. And then that's just the way it works across the board and everything. We're just, that's the way it works across the board and everything. So,
well, and this is just it. Like, so for example, I talk about that with the alternative media, right? They'll focus on just that first level. The U.S. invited Iraq for oil. And that's the first level. The U.S. is invading Venezuela right now for oil. And that's just that first level. And some people will get that level and go, yeah, that's the truth, because it is. And they'll stop there, and they won't go any further. And then you go to like the next level and you go like central banking. Like, Iraq had its own private central bank. It wasn't controlled by the Federal Reserve. Oh, there you go. There's your next level. And then you go like, Libya and the fully asset-backed dinar, gold-backed dinar. There's another level. And the same thing with Venezuela. And their asset-backed cryptocurrency. And then you go to the next level and you start getting into the woo-woo and you start hearing about some of the shit that they stole from Iraq, some of the shit that has been taken from Yemen, some of the shit that has been taken from Afghanistan, where you get into the real deep woo-woo shit and you start talking about things like Stargates and you start talking about things like the Ark of the Covenant and you start talking about things that are way, way, way out there. And that's even us. How many levels? Yeah, like Skittles from Canada just said, it's like peeling a fucking onion. How many of us have actually think that we've got to the center of the onion? Not me. I know I fucking haven't got to the center of the onion. I'm sure there's several more fucking layers that I'll have to peel through till I get there.
I'm still looking for the center of the Tootsie Pop.
I knew you were going to say that, Earl.
But
you were going to say that.
Like, even in the groups I've been in, like the Flat Earth and all that, it's like only one level that people will just go at and they'll just stop and, then they're like, well, but then they'll always talk about the same thing, but nothing new is coming out. So it's like, why even spending your freaking time going over the same dumb shit?
But that's what I talk about, which is why you get the the divisionary. So that's why I honestly believe the whole flat earth thing came out and was pushed the way it was, because it kept people divided. And it grabs the people who were asking really good questions, who were sitting there going, okay, yeah, some of this stuff for this flat earth stuff is really fucking interesting. Let's dig into this and let's start asking some questions, pulls them off to the side, puts them in these groups where they don't ask questions. They only just keep repeating the same rinse, and repeat rhetoric over and over again, and then you've taken them out. We're seeing the same thing happen right now with the Tartaria stuff and the mudflood stuff. People are asking questions. People are listening to this and going, he's got some good points here. I'm going to investigate. Wait, let's ask some questions. They get sucked into the groups, and then the groups literally just pull those people in, and they just keep rehashing the same stuff over and over and over, and they don't escape. I don't mean to make it sound like it's a fucking concentration camp, and sometimes I honestly think it is a concentration camp for the mind. And this is where I keep warning people that we need to not allow ourselves to get sucked into any particular specific theory or any particular specific piece of rhetoric, etc. Because the moment we start really veering off into those, there's a really good chance that you're going to get sucked into it. And I've joked about the fact of, like the stages, there's the whole thing about the stages of grief that you have to go through. It's like the stages of waking up. Well, the first stage is Alex Jones. And that's the stage of anger, where you scream and you yell and you rant and you rage out. And some people never go beyond that stage. Some people stay in that stage, and they're in their Alex Jones stage, and they're never going to get past it because they found the stage where they want to just sit there and scream and yell and rant and rave. And that's what we're seeing here is like we have to keep moving forward. We have to keep moving forward. We have to keep asking the fucking hard questions. And we have to keep questioning ourselves. Like for me, it's a daily fucking thing, questioning myself. When I have pieces come up and go, okay, my automatic response was to say it was this. Why? Why did I immediately go to that theory? The things with the planes. When the plane crashed, my first thing was, it was magnetics. It was the magnetics of the planet, guaranteed. Didn't even, and then I had to go kind of stand back, okay, whoa, hold. Let's look at some of the other factors here. We got United Nations people who are on board. A big crew of them. Well, maybe it wasn't an accidental geomagnetic storm type thing. Maybe it was brought down. And then you have to look at all the other aspects of it. But we have to keep questioning ourselves. Like allowing ourselves to say, okay, don't jump into the easy answer.
Keep what you know on the back burner. Like,
yeah.
Just in case, because it's like a prepper. You don't know when it's gonna hit you, but it's gonna, wherever disaster, wherever it is, So be prepared. Keep yourself stocked or wherever in your mind, because then you'll be ready for whatever comes. And you'll be like, oh, now I get it. Okay.
Exactly, and that's the whole thing. If you're just prepared and you keep an even keel and you have all these pieces, like you say, filed away.
You know what? I think that they're accomplishing this by leveraging the atmosphere the way it is, and they probably do have a weapon that they're utilizing, and I think it can probably go both ways, because my spirit's telling me right now is I know that there's been some points in the past where they've actually rerouted planes around areas, and we haven't really gotten a straight answer out of it. So if something tells me that they're aware of these things going on, and
well, no planes fly over the South Atlantic anomaly anymore. Planes fly over that because they've learned their lesson. If a plane flies over the South Atlantic anomaly, which is where the magnetic fields go, woohoo, then you're going to have problems, right?
About a month ago, I was watching these birds flying in the backyard, right? And it was just flying and then just kind of stopped in midair. It couldn't get past this one point and had to go a block west, right, and then around. So there was something right there that this bird couldn't get around. And it had to fly around it. So there are anomalies.
And this is, again, we look at things such as, all the whales that are washing up on beaches, and all the animals that are ending up in the wrong areas of the world. And that one whale that migrated from Australia and ended up on the coast of fucking California. And they were like, how the fuck did it even get there? It's an Australian whale. The water's too cold. How the fuck did it get there? Animals are more in tune. When we talk about things like electrical fields and magnetic fields, animals are hyper sensitive to those because they rely on them in an intrinsic way that we don't anymore. I'm sure humans probably have the same ability. I'm sure probably at some point in time we did rely on them. But we don't anymore. Now we have fucking GPSs and we have compasses and we have daylight fucking savings time and bullshit like that.
I get people telling me, oh, it's buoyancy and all that. I'm like, no, it can't just be buoyancy and all that shit. Because, like, when I fall down, I know I fall down because of gravity. It's not because of buoyancy or density, you know.
I left the blanket over the
There's all kinds of stuff, and we have to understand that our science and our comprehension of science is highly flawed. And we've been deliberately kept that way. We've been deliberately kept with very, very little knowledge about how certain things work. So most people don't question because they've been taught the law of gravity and the law of mass, right? And so therefore it's a law. It must be true. It must be accurate. It must be factual. And it's not. We don't know what's going on in the world around us. We don't even know if this world is a world. Like really, like when you really, really want to break it down. Like you go, like, is this even a fucking world? Is this even a fucking planet? This is a giant fucking holodeck. I'm not joking when I say I honestly feel like I am on the fucking Truman Show 24 hours a day. And have done since a child.
I had this thought, and because you know how there's like all these lakes and all that popping up, all this landmass shifting around and all that. To me, it's like when you defrag a hard drive, where things get moved around. It's kind of like looks like that.
That's a good analogy, Earl. Actually, that's a really fucking good analogy. Someone keeps defragging the hard drive with a magnet, I think.
Because, like, you've seen islands popping up for some reason, and it's like, oh, and by the way, these islands happen to have airports already freaking on them. It's like, what the frick? Who freaking designed that? Like, it's weird.
Yep. And Joanna over there in Twitch, she just said, I don't like the word believe so much anymore. I have been down the word etymology rabbit hole. Exactly. So
I say that all the time. Why is the word lie?
I fucking hate the words that we use sometimes. Like, and I can't all the time. I mean, I use the word we believe this or I believe that. And then you go, oh, I need a better word. I know this. Well, no, I kind of don't really know that. I think I know it, you know. I feel this. Maybe that's a good one we should use. Instead of saying I believe is to say, I feel that it could be this way.
Well, you know, something else to look at is how we jump to the negative automatically of all this stuff that is happening, how it's so negative, right? And fear-based and things like that. Why do you think that they're pushing this negative scenario? And I do think that this is, we get little pieces dropped, right? And
Yep.
It's all this negative, right? And we jump on it and it's so bad and it's so this. What if there's a positive spin on this? And why are they trying to
Absolutely. Hey,
keep
listen,
it
Penny,
as a negative?
here's my thing on that one. You know me, I always talk about being a prepper because I am a prepper. Because you just never know what's going to happen. You don't know when your electricity is going to go out. You don't know when your power is going to go down. You don't know when there's going to be a flash flood, apparently, right now especially. But we don't know these things. So being prepared for any situation to me just makes logical sense. Now, when it comes to things like they talk about, for example, suspicious observer has been doing the catastrophe cycle. Do I know that there's going to be a massive catastrophe? No, I don't know that. Do I know that we're going to see another purportedly, as they tell us has happened before, reset of society when it's all going to get, broken apart and there'll be just those few that survive to rebuild and start all over again? No, I don't know that. I have a pretty deep optimistic outlook on life. And I think there's a lot of the stuff that we're seeing, and I've said it on multiple shows over the years, things like incoming cosmic rays and things like that, maybe they're the thing that's going to trigger us to fucking wake up. All of a sudden you go to 100% brain capacity usage and your latent DNA turns on, et cetera, et cetera. We don't know. And Brianna, yes, intuition is much more than what it's sold us to be, because they downplay intuition all the time. My gut has always been, there's going to be shit. And we can see the shit right here. Like we're kind of fucking, as we've been discussing all night, we're surrounded with the shit. There are floods, and there are earthquakes, and there are power outages, and there are sandstorms, and there are volcanoes, et cetera, et cetera. And apparently planes falling from the sky. Does that mean, does my gut say that that's just the terrible piece, that's what's going to happen? No. Like I said, I am optimistic. I've always been a very, very optimistic person. And my instinct, my inner knowing, my feeling, if you will, has always been that there's really fucking good shit about to happen. Really, really fucking good shit about to happen. But we're in the shit now. Like right now, though, we are in the middle of this insanity. But that is not necessarily an indicator of, well, I was going to say the end of life as we know it. But you know what? I think for some of us, the end of life as we know it, i.e. this fucking shit show, perhaps that's the piece that we're coming to, but it's not the negative, it's the positive.
We are in one of the stages of labor right now. We could be, like...
this is transition, darling. This is transition, trust me.
Well, what about what Rose says? For all of us that follow Rose, and Doppy is going to be on this, about the Eastern and Western gates, and that Trump is heading the Western side, getting it ready. On the big fucking scale. I mean, how does the president walk into North Korea and fucking turn that shit around so fast?
He didn't, darling. Trump didn't fucking do that. It was between North and South Korea.
But
they've been in meetings fucking working on that for 5 fucking years.
I know, but when I'm saying on the bigger scale, scale, and who's, if there's a split that's going to happen, that many have spoke about. And
I'm not saying it's not going to happen.
That's your positive side, though. That's what I'm going with it.
Yeah. And I totally get you.
Yeah.
We don't know. We have no idea what it's going to look like. We have no idea what it's going to feel like. We have no idea what it's going to sound, taste, smell like.
That's the funny thing, Dani.
But there's a gut.
You're not going to know. That's
exactly it. I was just going to say, apparently we're not allowed to know, so...
No, not until, like I told you...
Not till it happens. Not till it happens.
Exactly true, Dawn. You need to... Remember we were talking last chat, or one before that, where we were talking and we both agreed. You don't know until you need to know in the moment, and then you know.
Yep.
That's when you're going to know. You're not going to be, there's not a book laying somewhere you're going to read about it. I mean, you're going to read all kinds of theories, but the reality is not known by anybody.
No.
Maintained. There may be some silent person on a mountaintop somewhere.
Yeah. And I align with Rose, because I've seen, my own spirit has shown me literally standing up out of my body, just standing. Hold on, Chrissy. And so Rose says the same thing. So I just think that's interesting.
Well,
And no, Dawn can't prove that. All she can do is attest to it. And that's
Exactly.
all.
And that's your gut feeling. And that's what I've said. For years, I've had a gut feeling that our sun in our solar system is going to play a role in whatever it is that is to come. In that kind of awakening moment, in whatever you want to call it. And that's been my gut feeling. That was before I started studying the sun. That was before I even got all new agey there for that very, very short period of time. That was just my gut thing. It was just something that, it was like an inner thing that I just felt, right? No, I can't explain that. I can't tell you why. I can't tell you, like, oh, I know that the sun is a giant portal and it's going to open up and we're all going to just no, I have no fucking idea. All I can say is that there's this gut feeling that I have. That's what it is. Doesn't mean that I'm right. Certainly doesn't mean that I'm fucking right. It's just my perspective, and that's how I feel inside.
There's a lot of us feel that way, Dani. And it's a certain kind of person that feels that way as opposed to many other kinds of people. And you notice they exhibit the same kind of traits in their behavior patterns and their approach to life. We were talking about the inner knowing business. We you know as well as I know, and most of everybody in here, everybody actually probably knows that the brain isn't the only way of knowing things.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
Intuition or gut feeling or however is a convenient expression. That's inspiration. Inspiration doesn't come from facts. It hits you just like a bolt out of the blue. Now that's coming from somewhere.
Yep.
It isn't
Exactly.
because you're so completely highly intelligent that comes to you, because sometimes it don't even make fucking sense intelligently, and yet it's the right
and that's it. Sometimes you know exactly what you need to do because you just know. And you don't know how you know, you don't know why you know, you don't know any of that. You just know what to do in that moment. And that's, for me, I try to follow that as much as I can. Let's face it, we all have I'm turning into a surf. My hands are fucking freezing, so I had to put on my fucking wool gloves. Don't make fun of my Smurf hands. Seriously, John, it's not nice.
My new age part that I went through, I consider that my goth phase that I went through. You know what I mean? It's like,
did we lose Earl? I think we just lost Earl.
oh, I'm muted because
okay.
I was waiting for you to, say something about it or whatever, laugh.
Yeah, you laugh at your goth phase. I don't know, Earl. I just can't see you as a goth.
I mean, so like, not me like really going goth, but it's sort of like that kind of phase I went through where, I felt deep into it, all the astral come in and all that, but, it took me a while to like mentally get over that because it was like, yeah. But, you look like now with the earrings, the gloves, you look like an upper crust kind of lady, all you need is a dress,
What? You're in the wrong universe, darling, because there's no universe where I'm a lady. Trust me. There's no universe where I'm a lady.
There is somewhere.
No, I'm pretty sure I have never been called a lady before. She says as she wipes her nose on her gloves because I'm so cold. My nose has started running because I'm that cold. It's supposed to be really, really delightfully bad weather again tonight.
I'll call you a lady so you can't make that statement again.
I don't accept your titles. Sorry. No.
I got you. Well, you were called it, though.
Oh, there we go. You're cute. This is it. We run with our intuition, and I think that is especially when it comes to a lot of stuff now about things, like I said, about what we eat, about what we drink, about when we sleep, when we exercise, when we go out and do stuff. And we have to really be listening carefully to our intuition right now, because it seems like we are in a state of flux, and we are continuously on, as everything is fluctuating around us, we have to be able to move with it. And that is going to come from listening to our gut.
Danny, seriously, the proof is in the pudding. And you know from your own life experience, you've been talking about it. When you do that, things go smoothly for you. When you don't do that, things get much more complex, complicated, and confusing.
Yep.
If nothing else, if at the bare minimum, bottom line of it, you, from your own life experience, which is actually how you function in this world, you come up, it works. So, if it works for you, if you try it, it works for you. The more you try it, the more it works for you. That sounds like a pretty good prescription to approach things as they approach you or come.
It works. If it fucking works, stick with it. But be prepared to change tomorrow, because it may not work tomorrow.
That's true, but tomorrow you'll get a new input, and you know that too from your life experience.
Yep, exactly.
You know it, and we all know it, because we've been trying. We all have been doing that in our own way, shape, and form. Some more diligently than others, but every time you frickin' do it, it works. Well, pretty soon you figure out, well, maybe this is a better way to go. And even though it only works for me in my life, we're all just walking around in our own individual lives anyway, and we know that. That this whole thing that they tell us we're all the same, well, we know better than that. Mm-hmm. I mean, yes, we're all human people or look like human people, but the way we interpret things, each one is unique and individual, and nobody can walk in anybody else's shoes. All you can do is approximate it.
Yep.
At best.
And nobody can walk in anyone else's shoes. And that's why my big one at the moment is try and cut everyone some slack. Because we don't know what the other person is going through. We don't know what their life has been. We don't know what their day has been. We don't know how they're being affected by the insanity that's around us. Cut everyone some slack. And I think if we could all stay in that place where we just don't jump on people, like someone makes a comment and you jump down their throat because, and trust me, I do it all the time. I'm notorious for that, actually. If we try and just cut people some slack. Now, there comes a point in time with some people where you're like, okay, I've now given you as much slack as I'm willing to give. I think I'm going to either A, unfriend you, or B, just going to have to start taking different actions to deal with your shit. But, yes, hon.
Listen, on that one, I'll tell you who told it to me. It was Dawn, for crying out loud. And, I think kind of mostly highly of her. However, I was in a situation where I reacted really negatively to somebody, and it got her going on me. And she told me, she said, what you do is you treat them all with compassion, which is what you're talking about. But that's a very pointed one-liner. Yep. And when you run into people that you can't coexist with, and you see they're doing stuff that you just can't tolerate, the response is not to engage them in their drama, but to disengage. And there's all kinds of ways of disengaging. Yep. And you go on. But as far as how you deal with them, your highest vision, your highest expression of yourself is to be, if you'll accept the phrase, godlike, in the sense of Jesus-like, in the sense of treating them with compassion.
Yep.
That's three different ways of saying the same thing, depending on how deeply you want to go into it. But the effect is the same. And that makes a difference between you and some son of a bitch out there trying to, do damage to people. You're not that.
Exactly.
You know that.
Do you want to damage someone?
No.
And that's kind of one of my things. And I get this, I have this conversation with my kids all the time, because kids are really riding a fucking roller coaster at the moment. And it's fucking hard for them at the moment. And I'll say, well, one of my kids will snap at one of the other ones. And I'll say, okay, I get that you're in a bad mood. And maybe you snapped at them because it gave you a release and you just wanted to put your aggravation into one single fucking sentence, which you just happened to aim at your brother or your sister. But do you really want to hurt that person? Is that what you really want? No, I don't want to. Okay, then you need to step back. You need to step back and think of another way of releasing that aggravation or that, right? And that's a lesson I think we can all learn is we've got to be able to all the time. Listen, I am the worst for it because I am a hothead. For those of you who know me, know this. I am an extremely hothead, and I am very opinionated, and I'm extremely outspoken. And when a doctor says something to me, like, oh, this is what it is, I'm like, no, it's fucking not. And you start an argument, and the doctor gets frustrated, etc. And then you kind of go, okay, well, wait, how did I respond? Maybe I could have responded better, responded in a way that wouldn't have set him off, because you don't know that he's just come off an 18-hour emergency shift and he's fucking exhausted and he lost 2 patients, and do you know what I mean? Like, we just don't know these things. So it's really hard. Star, you need to delete the yeah, we don't put links on the Twitch stream in the chat because we don't know who's reading them. So
that one's okay. That one's okay. That's just
that's
download.
just the Discord app. Okay, don't worry about it, Star. That's fine. That one's just the Discord app, so that's fine. You don't have to worry about it. But things like links directly to our RTS Discord, things like that, we don't want put out publicly because we don't want a whole pile of people. Bunch of shills like the ones who were out on the chat earlier.
I knew this. I knew what I was doing. I wasn't going to put it.
I know. I'm sorry.
People assume too much about me. I hate that.
No, I'm not assuming too much about you. All I saw was it said Discord out. So
wait, let me finish. Let me finish. I haven't even spoken.
I would rather assume than have some crazy nuts take the link for Discord. I better assume and then tell you, okay, I'm sorry. Great. I'd rather assume.
That's fine. Fine.
Twitch has a whisper thing. It has a private message thing.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Take a look at your Twitch.
Okay.
After show. Bye.
Okay, not now. Seriously.
I haven't even spoken until now. Give me a break. It's like,
dude. Okay, but again,
I've dealt with this all my adult life.
Okay, Star, not now. You guys, after we're finished, you guys want to go and talk about this? Great, not now. That's all I'm saying. Now I have no idea what we're just fucking talking about. Cutting people slack. There we go. Cutting people slack. Everyone needs to cut everyone some slack. Across the board. Even in here. But there are limits. And like Dawn has, can't remember what Dawn's expression it is that she uses. She talks about like when you don't let people invade your space, right? Because there are limits. There are people when all of a sudden people sometimes become toxic in your own personal life. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm in the middle of dealing with some of that right now and trying to make this space where I can cut the toxicity out. And that's hard. And it's hard. And it's hard to walk. It's like a tightrope, like you've got a balance between the two of having compassion and maintaining compassion and cutting people slack versus not letting people walk on you and not dealing with the fucking trolls, right? Sometimes they're just fucking there and you can't do anything about them. Some of the bots just kind of appear. Oi. I don't know, folks. Right now, life is just one ginormous distraction, it feels like. Pretty much
Dani,
on every level. Yeah, darling.
I have to wonder, 30 years ago, we were almost like hive-minded. right? And everything was everything was simple and copacetic, and everybody kind of got along. We made sure that everybody kind of got along. And then something happened, and everybody started going, whoa, wait a minute, I'm an individual. I'm no longer this. I don't agree with you anymore. And it's becoming more and more. And you notice the planet is also doing that as well. It's not as stable as it was. And I think if we can get through this period, it's going to be great, because we're going to learn how to connect in a higher way. Higher being a bad word. In a different way.
In a deeper way?
Yeah, deeper, exactly. In this deeper way, and then Earth will settle back down again. But you notice this, every friggin' day is different in the weather, in the wind, the rain, just like us personally,
Well, it's almost like it's a mirror, and that's what I've always had the question of, like, it's the catch-22. It's the chicken and the egg question.
Yeah.
Are we affecting the physical realm around us? Or is it the dissolution, the discombobulation, I like that word, the discombobulation of the realm around us that's causing us to act as a mirror to what is going on there? And yeah, Andrea, more like a feedback loop. And that's the one thing I hypothesize is that, like, we go through this, and then the reality around us kind of feeds back through that. And then we then go feedback more. And it becomes like bigger and bigger and bigger. And each one just creates that much more expansion on what we've already gone through.
But I don't think there is a beginning or an end per se, because they're both linked. So it wouldn't matter if the weather's doing it or if we're doing it, because it's all linked. So there is no chicken or egg. It's all one.
I don't know, honey. I don't know. I wish I knew. Star, you cracked me up because earlier you mentioned idiocracy. I had such a bad week that I was so full of tonight I was joking that I was going to tell John, download Idiocracy. We're going to watch Idiocracy tonight. And so when you brought it fucking up in the chat, I was just like, maybe it's time for us to watch Idiocracy together, because it's the one movie we haven't watched together. And I was literally on a rant today about Idiocracy. And when you brought it up, it just was like, well, there we go. Obviously, there's a few of us surfing that same wave, because here it is, Idiocracy. Do you know what is pissing me off? I'm going to go on another small-ish rant.
No, what's pissing you off?
Let me tell you what's pissing me off, Earl. Yes, I'm a bit of a grammar Nazi. And it's because I'm a reader. I read, and for me, I usually say, you can tell the people who are readers in the fact of the way they write, right? You use punctuation, because it's in your brain already. It's like something that you kind of pull into your brain. Oh, look, he actually survived. This shorthand speak right now, everyone writes this fucking shit. Like, instead of saying you're, it's like you are. And they short these words, and it's like the old school text speak that we kind of spoke back when you were sending text messages and you got charged by the fucking letter. So you started shortening things down, like you'd use the letter 2 and you'd use R, you going, and be just the letter R, you going. But it's expanded now, and it's become this language all on its own. And all of a sudden, there is this massive movement to people to accept this. To accept this. All you people who are not the grammar Nazis, because you got to love when you're called that. All you people who are grammar Nazis, just lighten up. It's just a fucking word and blah, 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 blah. I literally today said, someone posted a meme, I can't remember, first thing this morning. It was just one of those typed out memes, and it was really good. I can't remember what it was now, of course, but it was really good. Like, whoever put this together, it was just one statement that was so concise. It was like hitting the hammer on the nail, boom. And I wouldn't repost it because it was the whole thing was written in that short form junk words. And I said to the person, I would have shared this. Honestly, this is such a brilliant one, whoever, and I'm tempted to retype it out properly, but I won't share it with it. Well, it's written in that. And I had some guy, literally, one of this person's friends, I assume, blah, 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 and call me a grammar Nazi. And I was just like, have you seen the movie Idiocracy? Have you seen the movie Idiocracy? Do you remember how the people in the movie of Idiocracy speak? Well, that's what you're doing right now.
It's got electrolyte.
It's got electrolyte. Right? How they speak in that movie is exactly this form of written text writing that is being pushed, and I mean literally pushed now, because like I said, there's a shit ton of people who are making this whole thing of like, we need to accept it. It's modern, just accept it. Why are you being so hung up on stuff? Because it is one of the first steps to idiocracy, even more than it already is real, making it real. And that's why I will not I'll use like acronyms like LOL, because that's pretty much now fucking hell. It's like my equivalent of a period is a lol at the end of a sentence. But
it has become an emoji.
It has become, this is it. And Megan said, I'm worried they're slowly eroding our language away. Exactly. The same way that they took a cursive out of the school system. Now you have, my kids have no fucking clue. And I've actually joked and said, I'm going to start teaching you kids how to speak cursive. And I'm going to force you guys write cursive. Because if you can't read cursive, you can't read historical documents, can you? So now it's going to the next level. Now we're going to erode the language, and they're already twisting words, redefining words. We've watched this all along. But now we're watching them erode this language to this mess that is, and there are going to be generations of kids who are going to grow up. And that's all they're going to be able to speak. That is all they're going to be able to write. They won't know the difference between you're an idiot and your idiocy is making me insane. Right? They're not going to know that there's a difference because they're just going to spell it you are anyway.
We are going back to hieroglyphs. No,
yeah, we are. In a way we are. It's true. We're all
yeah, but those hieroglyphs were not to be misunderstood, right? They all had their saying, they all had their shape for everything, right? Yep. They could not be misunderstood. But today we misunderstand so much. We don't even see the irony, right, in someone's post because we don't see the face that the person is making. Yep. Because since you mentioned we are literally in the idiocracy universe, I had now for 3 weeks every day call a fucking agency, my phone, for switching the energy supplier, right? The first 2 calls, I was mad, I was angry. The next calls, I literally told them I have a free energy device in my backyard, you know, and I'm creating 7 terawatts and putting the rest I don't need into the power supply, and I'm making fuck tons of money off it. And please go take a hike, right? Like, and the first two guys that actually called me wanted to know more and couldn't believe it, and they literally took the bait and literally gone into Wonderland, listening to me, wasting their time. You know, at that point, that was hilarious, right? But it got to the point where they still kept calling and like, yeah, but still, don't you want to switch? You know, and I'm saying like, at some point I got hamsters in the backyard running in a wheel, turning on a dynamo. And then some person actually asked me if that was sanctioned by the veterinarian and shit like that. And nobody could understand my irony in this. And that was so shocking.
That's the point, Danny. I know why you're, and to back up what you're saying and why you're saying it, a complex language assists in clarity of communication. Whereas if you've got basically words that can be interpreted 100 different ways, there's no real clarity in communication whatsoever. And it just it's a descent into mediocrity. And you know, if you want, that's effectively what it is. And if you want to get clear, you need to use the language properly as given to us. And it's a beautiful language if in fact you use it wisely. If you just cast it off as just junk, it becomes junk, and there's no real communication, at least verbally or in written form, especially in written form.
I tell my kids all the time when they pick up like slang, certain slang stuff, I'm like, not in my house. No. You speak the language fucking properly, or seriously, no.
What Bobby was saying, it kind of reminded me of this video that I watched this week where these smart people wrote this thing for the you know, those medical journals and all that. So they wrote this fake whole thing and they sent it.
I posted it everywhere.
I'm like, are you kidding me that they're so stupid that they don't even look through the information? They just post it.
They did read through the information. That's the part about it that is crazy. So if you guys don't know what Earl's talking about, there was a group of guys, and they're all like, one guy's a professor at a university. Like, they're all established people. They're not just like, you know, Tom, Dick, and Harry down on the corner coffee shop.
Weren't they journalists?
No. The one woman I think was a journalist, but the two men, the older man is a professor at a university, and I can't remember Portland University, I think. And the other guy is another professional, like he's a scientist, etc. They noticed in all these professional journals, so the scientific journals and the philosophy and the fucking human studies, etc., that there was so much bullshit being published that they went out and they wrote a paper that was complete and utter bullshit. And they sent it to all these different journals for publication. And it was accepted by several journals. And the guy who was interviewing them, there was a journalist who interviewed them and said,
John,
did they just not read it? And he was like, no. They loved it. They read it. They were like, oh, you've made some groundbreaking associations here. We think this is phenomenal. This is just, oh yes, we need to see more of your work. And they're like, we made it all up. Completely made the whole fucking shit up. But they played to the biases of each particular journal. And that wasn't just the one. Like, there was the one about the dog fucking that was just hysterical. That was the first one. They put several out. Now, they've all been now redacted by these journals. But each one of them, and basically they're getting hung out to dry by the media saying, how dare you write these fake articles? And they're like saying, no. Why are you coming after us? They accepted them. They're supposed to be the professionals who know how to read research and real research and figure out what's real and what's fake. They fucking accepted it and thought it was groundbreaking. Why are you coming after us? The indictment is against the system that is that corrupt and that fucked up that they accepted a bullshit paper. And it's all over the place. I think I posted it on my wall on Facebook maybe 2-3 days ago, and it was in the Unfuckers room as well. But yeah, I've been following that whole story for like 4 months because I think that got broken in December. Yeah, all the fucking insanity you want. Exactly. Well, darlings, we are just about at our time up. Sunday night is Fringe night. Fringe night. And same bad time, same bad channel, except that I have no idea. I think that's an hour later for North America now. I think that the show was an hour later than it usually is. And we don't change our time until I think the... Wait, what day is it? I think it's the...
Yeah, it's an hour later, Danny.
So the 24th, do we switch? Or the 31st? Does anyone in Europe know, do we switch on the 24th or the 31st?
The 31st, Danny, I read it online when I was trying to figure out, you know, which.
Okay.
The 31st for you.
In a couple of weeks, it'll go back to normal between Europe and North America, but then Australia goes, and I'll be totally fucked again because it always takes me months to figure out what time zone fucking Sydney is in. Sunday night, I will be on Open Your Mind Radio out of Ireland, and I will have the link there. I'll put the link out so that everyone can listen live if they want. And yeah, I don't know, folks. That's about it. Try to maintain some equilibrium. Try to listen to your gut instincts. Try to cut people some slack. Don't fall for the bullshit. That's, I guess, the biggest summation, I guess, of everything for tonight was right there. That's kind of condensed down to a somewhat normal bite. Okay, guys. We'll say goodnight to Twitch. Everyone out there on Twitch, we'll see you later. And as soon as we figure out the astrology show, I'll let you guys know. I'll let you guys know. It might be Sunday morning. That gives me 3 shows that day, so I don't know if I can really handle doing 3 shows on a Sunday. If not, I'll let you guys know. Anyways, bye, guys.
One small step